Okay, so I go straight away talk at Jonang. Okay, so why called Jonang? Because there is a holy mountain inside. They have female deity called Jomo Nagjelma. Jomo means like Joe, Lasi Joe means like a male figure, very venerated, and Jomo means like venerable females, venerable, and so Her Holiness, Jomo means similar. So in that place, first 13th century, first Jonang monastery established there, and then Kanpang Tukje Tundru. So Kanpang means a renounced a master, Kalachakra master. He invited there both human community and the spirit, and then this Jomo Nagaman Jarmo, this is in the mountain, this spirit, this holy spirit, they invite him there. So that's why first monastery named that. So that is how Jonang named. Is similarly, Sakya is what earth, a place, first monastery established. That's why I call Sakya. And Gelugpa's garden means Ndogro garden. That place, first monasteries. Later on, like 14th century, established. So that's why I call Girdenba or Gelugpa. Similar name. Jonang is name is of that. Okay, but that's everybody same. Their first monastery wherever established in Tibet. That the names come from this mostly, but the lineage always go back to the India. Everyone, as same also the Jonangba's lineage go back to India as the same, which means mainly the Nalanda, nowadays called Nalanda University. Some people believes that the first university ever had in the world. Whatever this is true or not, they come from mostly these scholars come from this Nalanda, and then other Nalandas, Bhatama, Shali Khan, last, and so on and so forth. There's but mostly nowadays referring to the Nalanda. So coming from this, so then the lineages, they have some lineages come from Sutra lineage, and some come from Tantra lineage. But mostly all traditions in Tibetan traditions, differences, they differentiate mostly from the Tantra point of view, Tantra lineage, not the Sutra lineage. So that's why I'm telling today, I'm introduced that Jonang Sutra lineage very briefly, and then go a little bit details of the Tantra lineage, okay? So the Sutra lineage come from Nalanda. Everybody here, that's Sutra lineage mostly, everybody here as Nagarjuna and Asanga, this is the two excellences core, the others core, 6 ornaments and 2 excellences. This is everybody, all Tibetan tradition refers those, that's same equal. However, inside not a little bit similar is, for instance, Nagarjuna's disciple Aryandewa, and then Aryandewa's disciple Sargikam Buddhapalata, and so forth. Then is like Chantakalti. This is the Rantompas, the who believes self-emptiness, emptiness itself. This Rantompas believe, and this is the great masters. Or their view is Madhyamaka view is come from those lineage. However, the Jonang sees the Nangajona is okay. Nangajona and Asanga, they normally the Dolphopa's point of view, they are they're all good, but it's more like Nangajona emphasize. Because Sangha has many other teachings, so that's why they don't necessarily see primary the Madhyamaka, the philosophical point of view source, the original source. Mainly people refer to the Nangajona, but Jonang referred both Nangajona and Asanga, and then even more emphasize Asanga. Why? Because Asanga, he received directly teachings from the Bodhisattva material, and the Bodhisattva material is only Sutrayana point of view is a 10th level of Bodhisattva, but the Tantra point of view, he is a real Buddha. So that's why how their teachings come from, they're more referring to the Asanga more, okay? Not only that reason, but also Asanga has far texts from the Bodhisattva material. So, and he has commentaries on that. So that's all Tibetan traditions. All Tibetan traditions treasure this, but Jonang even more treasure of this. Okay, more treasure of this. Okay, why is more treasure of this? Because they believe Jonang saying that the completion Mahayana Sutra, the whole doctrine. Everything is Buddha material present, and that's Asanga did commentary. And yes, Nangajona and these people did, but and then later on the lineage become a little bit. Jonang was considered a little bit inferior because why they say this? Because not all Jonang say these things, because Jonang not all Jonang not intellected, but you know, Taranatha and the most scholars say in Dolphopa, say these things, and not just say, but they say logically. What logic is that the Asanga's lineage called Yogachara in India called Yogachara Madhyamaka, and then also they call Great Madhyamaka, and then the others just call Madhyamaka or Ngonin Mepi Romawa. We call Ngonin Mepa means essenceless the lineage. You know, they call like this. Essenceless the Madhyamaka, they call like this. Okay, that's not Jonang called, okay, that's everybody know. Everybody knows India, you call that, okay? Why call essenceless? Because you believe everything is self-empty. If everything is self-empty, then it's essenceless, you know? So that's why they call this. It's not Jonang named them, okay? It is, everybody know that. So, okay, so, yeah. The main point, I don't want to talk too much philosophy today, but the main point is because come from Bodhisattva material. Bodhisattva material is Buddha himself's region. That's everybody knows, not Jonang knows. It's everybody knows. So that's why is and then the Asanga get this lineage come from directly from Buddha Maitreya. Then Asangas, these disciples, was the Vazabandhu, Jignanga, Dharmakirti, these ones. So these ones is Taranatha say they are the incredible ones in the world. So is knowing in India, knowing the best, because the inside six ornament and 2 excellence. That's why. But they're saying the other ones little bit inferior because is they are good. They're not saying bad, but it's good, but it's just Chatakilti and the Buddha Palada, they are okay at Panchatas. They're not at same level of Vazabandhu, Tignanga, these ones. So that's why they present, that's why it's better. And then the other reason is better because later on, the lineage is when you go longer, is kind of a little bit older, but then later on, Mitripa, they call Indian master Mitripa, he, after long, many 100 years later, he got that Buddha Maitreya's the 3 last most profound teachings, like Chunyin Namjit, Wunta Namjit, and this Jillama, these 3, the most high ones considered. He got these ones, got like dharma, he got that ones one time in the stupa, as the holy stupa have lightning, and then he went there and he got this, and then he got direct transmission from the Buddha Maitreya. So that's why Jonang believe they understanding Buddha Maitreya. Buddha Maitreya is all Tibetan, I understand, all Tibetan traditions treasure, but they believe Jonang have more close understanding and this view because of that. Okay, and then he transmits that in terms of Sanza and then so on, and then that's Jonang Sutrayana, where it comes from. Okay, and then the other reason they think this is the better, because the Buddha Maitreya's these texts have the completion doctrine or the view ones, and then Ranthongpa's they're saying they become a little bit how do you say, fetch, or like a little bit the doctrine, because the doctrine there's no completion doctrine, because they come from some come from Madhyamaka, some come from Svatantrika, some come from Vibhashika. That way they mix together. That's why it's not completion pure. That's Taranatha say, okay, not I say. So Taranatha, everybody knows, and he's the treasurer of the all lineages practices. So that's why Taranatha said that. And then the Tantra point of view, the Jonangpa is why is special. The Jonangpa's recipe or they practice all deities, or what other Tibetans do, everything same. But why they becomes a little bit special, because they never they first received the Kalachakra very specially, because Kalachakra firstly the lineage come from Shambhala directly, because this Tripchen Tuja Pachimo Kalachakra Pada, he has prophesied go to prophesied Shambhala Karki, prophesied him to go to Shambhala and receive this teaching directly. So he went and then he meet emanation of the Karki, and then he received the empowerment. Then he practiced 6 months. Then after that he able to travel Shambhala. So that's why he received the Shambhala lineage directly, and then he transmitted he only 12 students, 12 disciples. He transmit. They all become a rainbow body. So all 12 become rainbow body, and then he's one of disciple. He also taught secretly. So this is 2 generations only secret, not telling anybody else. But the third one is the Nalinda master. So Nalinda master, he decide tell everybody, and then he make a big statement on the Nalinda, say, all the Panditas, everybody, if you don't know Kalachakra, don't think you know compilation dharma. He wrote like this and challenge. So say, come to me, debate if you don't think that way. So then everybody debate, they're very shocked. And then he must be win. Then he become Nalinda head of Nalinda. His name is Jati Nalintaba. Okay, Jati Nalintaba. And then this is Kalachakra that time. Then is incredible, become popular in India, and they say all other types of Tantra practitioners become Siddha is less than Kalachakra practitioners. Kalachakra alone practitioners become Siddha more. That's they said, okay, in the history. And then, so then then start to come to Tibet. But Tibet, mostly they are more intellectual level, only translation like distance. More practice level is the Panchandawa Gombo called Somanatha. The Pandita Somanatha, he received from that Jatinalintaba. So he is an incredible one. So he come to Tibet 3 times, and then he cooperate with Drolozawa, and so that's why they transmit not just intellect, but translate this special practice, pith instruction. So then that's why Jonang is become special, because then Jonang that time is not Jonang yet. This lineage called Yotupas. Yotupa means sixth yoga lineage. So 6 yoga lineage. In Tibetan we have 8 pioneers, which means one of the is 6th yoga lineage, which means Jonang today. So and then at that time it was Sakya lineage. That time there's no such thing Sakya yet. So they call Lamdi lineage. Okay, Lamdi lineage and 6th yoga lineage. And then this Jipshit is becomes Jud lineage, okay? Jud. So this all together, then later on become 8, okay? 8. So 8 inside 8. Now today, who is the fully Savav is only 5, which means Nyama, Sakyakaya, Jonang Geluk. This 5 is fully Savav. The others not fully Savav. Some they have lit 1 monastery, some 2 monasteries, some don't have. But Jyot lineage then don't have separate lineage, but they went all lineage. So like that, right? So that's why Jonang is very special. And then later on, I said the 13th century. Then Jonang only name Jonang. First monastery in Tibet established. Before this, they have lineage, but more like yogis everywhere. There's no such thing, 1 monastery. So that's why not such thing, one permanent monastery. That's why it's so, and then the Jonang was how come to the Tibet is more like practice, that form, not like a scholar, not that form. Okay, so that's why they become incredible practitioners, and then. So then that's why, for instance, if I give one example, Dolphopa Sheriff Johnson, he was Sakyapa first. And he studied Narthong and then the many other places in Sakya. And then he went everywhere, debate, then nobody can compare him. And then everybody said, oh, he must be omniscient. Then everybody call him omniscient, Kinchin Dolphopa. That time he stayed Sakyapa, okay? He stayed Sakyapa. And then after he become like this, after one day he come to the Jonang, that time we don't call even monastery, that time called Jonang Retreat Chimo, the great retreat center of Jonang. So retreat means they are far from everyone, they practice intensively focus like that. So I heard that time they have 600, like I think 600 great practitioners there. So Dolphopa, when he came there, he was very, very impressed because he's an incredible scholar, and come there, he realized, oh, we are scholars means we just know the relative knowledge. But these people, he said in his story, he said, man and woman, he said, it doesn't matter male or female, everyone in Jonang, they knows the ultimate truth. So that's why he was very impressed, and then he promised himself, I will come back here. Of course, that time he has many, maybe commitments, many busy and scholar and whatever. And so then he later on come there, and then Kanchen Churkozer. So his lama is Kanchen Churkozer. So, and then, yeah, so he received the teaching and practice Kalachakra 6 yoga, and then he become even much more, because before that he met Karmapa, a third Karmapa Rangshon Dorje, and the Karmapa Rangshon Dorje is the very early stage of talking Janton view, but Karmapa Rangshon Dorje told him, yes, right now you are so scholar, incredible, you are omniscient, everybody call, but later on you get even much more high view of this. So the same as Karmapa Rangshon Dorje, he prophesies as the same that Dolphopa, he received this Janton view. He realized, not received, he realized the Janton view. So then he challenged all the views, and he's saying they all is like he's not saying they are wrong, but there is still not complete. That's why he called his dharma called Zogdan dharma. Zogdan dharma means completion dharma. He say half correct, 3/4 correct. Some of them no correct, very inferior. He called this openly, and he tell everyone. So that time everywhere is all the other lineages very, very flourish time, but all of the nobody can debate him. the best that time is a person. So person cannot debate him. So that's why it's become incredible, well known like that. But I think the most important is to know is that the Kalachakra teachings come from directly from Shambhala, and then they're not too much intellect and everything practical and experience surely very pure. And then Jonang was never involved with politics, never ever involved with politics, other than Jonang was. Everyone, a certain time, they're involved politics and they become political leader like this. So that's why it's dharma sometimes a little bit how do you say contaminate or whatever you call. So sometimes then politics and dharma mixed together, then it's not so pure. Then if it's not so pure, the lineage effect like this. Jonang never do this because even 7th century Jonang destroyed in some region that nothing to do with the Jonang. They just Gelugpa, Kagyupa fighting, and Gelugpa destroyed Jonang. That Kagyupa, the same time Jonang did, because the supporter of the Kagyu in Jonang is the same. That's the only reason. It's nothing to do with Jonang, but just okay, Kagyu, then Jonang also easier, because they never thought about, they never involved these things. So I heard some people said there's a little bit softer in Jonang, because some people really want practice in the retreat, say nothing, and just in the retreat they are okay or something like that. The monastery names and everything change, but it's not. So, and then I think the many people thought then Jonang was going, but it's not. Jonang was not going, because Dolphopa at the time he has a prophesied in the east. So the Jonang went far away in the east. They already established. That's the source of today. Okay. So the Jonang, that the Dolphopa is the why Dolphopa and Taranatha is very well known. Is not because Jonang didn't have any other incredible ones. Yes, all these lineages, incredible realized masters. But why Dolphopa and Taranatha is more well known? Because Taranatha has teachings of all the lineages, and he gave commentaries or everybody's lineages, So that's why even Jamgon Kongtr's the treasure of knowledge, all these things come from source of Taranatha, and then this Gelugpa's many teachings, Rinjong Gyatsa, Mata Gyatsa, all these Gyatsas, many treasure of empowerments all come from Taranatha, and then Taranatha made not allowed to recognized in Tibet, but recognized in Mongolia. So that's why it becomes Mongolian spiritual leader. So that's why. Yeah, so Dolphopa has incredible 14 disciples, and they're all incredible. Ones and 3 of them is Tsongkhapa's teachers. Okay, so like that. But yeah, so Dolphopa is very well known because he challenges everybody. His view challenges everyone. So that's why I think they're popular. Even nowadays, the independent scholars, if they study, they're very impressed. So like that. And also, not only this, but the Dolphopa is not just only scholar, but he has incredible devotion, his Lama and these things. And so when his Lama passed away, he made this stupa, a huge stupa. Nowadays, maybe many like that big, but in that time, nobody have that big stupa. people cannot even imagine how can you build like this big. So he did it, you know. I think inside he have like 108 temples inside or something like that. He built like this things. So, but he said when he built like mountain like stupa, and his dharma ocean like realizations just come, you know, say like this things. So basically, yeah, Dolphopa's view is yeah, very, very confident, and he felt very, very sorry for the others. And yeah, so then nobody can challenge in his life. Okay, so that's why he passed away. And after even after he challenged all other views, and after he passed away, people sometimes say something without saying names, but with names nobody even brave to say anything with name. so like that. Okay, so and then I want to tell you the connection of the Shambhala, because Shambhala, why is Jonang is very connected with Shambhala, because firstly I said this lineage come from directly from Shambhala, and not just intellect but practice, and they come purely transmitted. That's the one thing. The other thing is never involved politics and many other interests. So that's why Jonang even they never try to big, you know, like big flourish. They never even did that. So that's why they always quiet places and mountains and everywhere. So they're genuine practitioners. So that's why is they kept this Shambhala lineage so pure. So that's why I give one example. For instance, 1959, everybody escaped to India. You know, all lineages, everything. Jonang didn't escape. Why? Because Jonang just didn't know what is going on. Because they're not get used to politics. So that's why they just left there. So that's why they never come to India. So the only Jonang came only 1990s, only few, not many. Still is a very little Jonang in India and Nepal, very little. Okay, so yeah, so the others 59 come, they are 99, 90s, 1990s. Yeah, so 90, 50, yes, 40 years, yeah, 40 years they didn't come. So yeah, it's the only reason, because they don't not aware of politics, because they are very busy in mountains and like this. And they don't have habit to thinking, you know, like something else. Another way you can say they are very naive. Okay, so so that's why it's Jonang pure and with connected with the Shambhala. The other reason is Jonang Kanchen Dolphopa is I think everybody know, all the Tibetan masters agree he is a real Shambhala Dharmakin. The Pintrarika, called Pintrarika, the manifestation of the Pintrarika, the Shambhala's the first, second Kalki. Yeah, so not only this, but the Jonang, his 14 disciples, and then many of them, if you read their stories, they are mostly manifestation of some Shambhala Kalkis and like that. Okay. Yeah, so that's why is connected with Shambhala. Not only that reason, but also, as I before mentioned, the Dolphopa saying his dharma, because Dolphopa, he challenges not only Tibetans, but he challenges also Indian masters, such as like Hari Bhatra. Like Hari Bhatra is he's the Pashna parameter, the Abhisama Alankaras. These things all Tibetan people treasure, but he challenges. Dolphopa, he challenged it, you know. So his realization is incredible and comparable. So that's why Yeah, and he said his dharma is Zogdan, golden age dharma, the simple way. Basically, completion dharma. The others, he saying, is quarters correct or half correct, and the most is 3/4 correct. So he talked like that, because if you practice completion, the golden age dharma, then we can bring golden age arrow in for our world. So that is prophesied in Kalachakra Tantra. And then who emphasize is Jonang, Dolphopa, Sherab Johnson. Okay? And then the Jonang, the lineages, if you read it, they have many, the Jonang masters, they have connection with Shambhala. So that's why is they are very connected. Of course, they're connected if you think logically, because your Kalachakra Tantra it's not just Jonang path, but all Tibetan traditions believe that Kalachakra is the kin Tantra, is the most high. But it just don't have to believe. Even you just study it, you can understand. Oh, Kalachakra talks more than anybody, any other tantras. So elaborated everything. So that's why the other tantras go high, and then unclear, more obscure. But the Kalachakra Tantra is go higher, more elaborated. That's everybody, all scholars know. So, but how to realize it is you need this fresh, pure lineage, So that is Jonang Bahol. For instance, myself, I'm not born as a Jonang, Jonang community. I'm not entering first Jonang monastery. I enter in Nyingma monastery, then I later on study other Nyingma monastery, then I study Kelg monastery, and I even studied Sakya, Akaj's, Ngodro's practices in 100,000. That's all I did many years. And I studied the philosophy, everything. Eventually, I thought, oh, maybe I have to go Jonang. Jonang have special Kalachakra. Maybe I go see how's that. So then eventually I went to Jonang, and then I received the Kalachakra from my Lama, and then I practiced retreat. So then I become my favorite practice. So then they become my main practice. It's this. So I have all other lineages. I received these all other lineages, and I not only received, I practice it. I have everything, but I felt that's very special after a Kalachakra practice. So that's why I decide I do this my main practice, and then I try to flourish this to the world. I working on that because there's hardly anybody working on teachings. So I don't have to work on journal teachings if I just for survive. I don't have to do this. I can transmit Myanmar teaching. I can transmit Gelu teaching. I can teach any. But I thought they are already enough to transfer. So I thought this is very special. I should emphasize on this, and nobody does. So that's why, that's why I'm interested the Jonang. Try to practice and to transmit to everybody. Yeah, that is, I think, brief story. So it's not Jonang Baz only practice Kalachakra. Jonang Baz practice any other tantras they practice, but the main focus is Kalachakra. And then that means Jonang Baz, every single Jonang Baz, the minimum go 3-year retreat of Kalachakra. That's minimum, the most minimum. and nobody don't do that. Or other tantras, or whatever they want practice, they can practice, they don't have to, but this one, they have to. So that's very good, because if Jonang didn't do this, we already lost to the world, you know. So that's why. And also the other thing is, I think we lost a little bit this, the secret. Everybody, all the teachings, the most high teachings, everything you publish, the books on public. So most of them lineages. So that's not so good for genuine practitioners. So I'm the first person, basically, mainly Jonang to transmit in other languages and other cultures. So I decide to not do this. I decide proper way everything to first you become familiar with Jonang, what Jonang means, and then what the practices means, what the focus means, and they understand and slowly study. Whenever they become serious, then I introduce more high. Until not become serious, it's not necessary. So that's why, yes. So I'm doing that strategy. So yeah. So this is, I think, it's very important to keep the purity. You know. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you.
Any question?
I have a question. What is the difference between when you say Dzogchen and Dzogchen? Because the words are a little bit similar, but maybe.
Yeah, Dzogchen is they're talking about Dzogchen means a great perfection or something like that. Translate this. The meaning is they view and then they practices as something very special. They're talking about that. And then the Dzogdan is Dzogdan means Dzog is the same because completion, but Dzogdan means like possessor, you know, like you is content the completion means. So that's why Karwa Dzogdan means the completion, perfect peace and harmony, prosperity, age, you know, time, you know, Karwa Zampo. Yeah, the fortunate time. When you're talking about dharma, then is the most pure, complete dharma. That's why Dolphopa said the others incomplete.